Now tonight, we unpack Africa's boldest economic experiment, the African Continental Free Trade Area, or AfCFTA, a promise to tear down trade barriers, unite 55 nations and build the world's largest single market. But since it came into force in 2019, shipping to Europe is still easier than trading within Africa. So why isn't the Continental Free Trade Area working? Let's unpack it. About Africa's big dream.
The Africa Continental Free Trade Area.
There is a great realization by all of us of its importance.
An agreement that was adopted to eliminate barriers to trade in Africa with the objective of significantly boosting intra-Africa trade.
And trading under the vast Africa Continental Free Trade Area starts today, unlocking liberalized trade amongst African countries.
President Ramaphosa, these people are sold. You're preaching to the choir in some ways. We all believe in the dream of the AfCFTA, but the borders are closed. The flights are expensive. We can't get visas to South Africa.
Now, don't be too personal.
It is absolutely ridiculous. The people who introduced visas to us in Europe and told us visa is good, they have since abolished visa.
We need to ensure that Africa trades more with itself.
Let us start doing intra-African trade and being self-reliant. You don't want to give me $1? It's okay. I'll take Naira.
The African Continental Free Trade Area, or AfCFTA, is being called the biggest free trade deal since the World Trade Organization. A plan to unite 55 countries onto one vast market of 1.3 billion people. Think of AfCFTA like a giant online shop for Africa. The goal? To move from exporting raw materials to selling finished products across the continent. The vision is to make it easy to trade goods and services within Africa. But 3 years after its launch, progress has been slower than expected.
It's very nice flowery language to call this the largest since WTO, but you see, it's largest in number of countries. But if you look at the GDP of the countries involved, and if you look at the productivity and the level of production that they could pass around, it is so minuscule.
The truth is, trading within Africa still feels harder than trading with Europe, Asia, or the US. Why? Because the system isn't ready.
The African countries and their governments committed to removing tariff barriers, customs borders between their countries. The more industrialized African countries like South Africa and Egypt, and to some extent Nigeria, do not have sufficient confidence in their neighbors that they will protect the custom territory from the infiltration of dumped goods from other areas, particularly East Asia. That means there is not sufficient confidence in what is called the rules of origin, prefecting that what is sold without paying duty is actually a product from the African Common Market Area.
Think of Africa as a massive neighborhood market. Every country has cool stuff. Shea butter in Ghana, tea from Kenya, tech talent in Nigeria. But each stall has its own complicated rules. Prices are in different currencies. There are border checks, product standards, and don't forget the paperwork. That is the AfCFTA's headache. The barriers are many. First, infrastructure. Many African countries aren't connected by efficient roads, or railways, or ports. A trader in Uganda might find it easier to ship to Dubai than to Congo next door.
The transport logistics, the point of collection of items, the point of clearance, the shipping arrangement has for the past 60 years developed glued towards Europe, US, and East Asia. It is easy without much thinking of tinkering with infrastructure to align production and trade with the European market than it is with the African market.
Then comes bureaucracy. Moving goods across borders means navigating layers of paperwork, permit, and delays. Custom officials demand documents the size of a Bible. For small businesses, it's often not worth the trouble. Currency is another headache. Africa has over 40 currencies. Many cross-border transactions still depend on the US dollar, which adds cost and risk. Even moving people for business, logistics, or skilled work is a challenge. Aliko Dangote, Africa's richest man, once said he needed over 30 visas to travel across the continent. That's like being the admin of a WhatsApp group chat, but still needing permission to post.
How to physically trade between East Africa and West Africa, or the Sahel, or Central Africa and North Africa. There simply isn't the infrastructure, there isn't the market intelligence, there isn't the logistical experience that will predispose a low-risk trader and investor to try that trade.
But we are seeing progress. Kenya, Rwanda, Ghana, and a few others are already trading under a test run called the Guided Trade Initiative.
The areas where there's been significant improvement in intra-Africa trade, for example, the ESC area, fiscal proximity and infrastructure that was already developing over the past 60 years, has meant that you can link production and market in the region.
Plus, Africa has launched the PAPSS, the Pan-African Payment System, to make cross-border payments in local currencies and reduce dollar dependency. If this is scaled up, it could be a game changer. And on the ground, African entrepreneurs are not waiting. In Zambia, woodwork makers are selling across borders. In Ghana, Chopbox Express is delivering jollof to the diaspora, while in Kenya, digital fashion brands are selling to Nigeria and South Africa, all via Instagram. AfCFTA is Africa's chance to rewrite its economic story. This isn't just about economics, it's about Africa taking control of its destiny. Because Africa doesn't need saving, it needs connection.
The certainty of market access in the West is going away. This may be a new impetus that may lead increasingly more African countries to look at trading with each other. What is required is the diversified product, particularly value-added products, and get over the market biases that have been giving the impression that made in Europe is superior quality than made in Africa.
The next big thing won't be made in China. It will be made in Africa, sold in Africa, loved in Africa.
It is inevitable. Africa is going to learn to like what comes out of Africa.